everybody. Welcome to the World of Concacaf podcast news desk. This here is Eric Schmitz.
This here is Donald Wine.
And Jonathan could not join us tonight for this news desk episode, but there is important Concacaf action to talk about, so we are here to talk about it. Donald, are you excited for this March window?
I am. I will say, I know you're probably going to get into this, but we have this thing where our patrons, thank you, patrons, it's called One More Round. And the One More Round, we normally record after this episode, but we did record it before that so that we could get Jonathan on here. So stick around for that.
Special guest, special surprise guest who just not here for this. Speaking of patrons, patreon.com/podcacaf. Support our podcast. Listen to One More Round bonus episodes. Get exclusive extra content here and there. But mostly support our thing. It's fun. We love you. Thank you to everyone who supports us.
Starts at $1 a month, and there's also some goodies, surprises that we sometimes drop in there just for our patrons. But really appreciate our patrons for sticking with us through all these years.
You got to cue the Sarah McLachlan music for just $1 a month. You can support a podcast where they talk about the stupid CONCACAF mascot ad nauseum.
Dare to Villar.
Yes. So shout out Villar. Through Villar, all things are possible. And yes, let's talk about some soccer. So a lot going on for a lot of teams in CONCACAF. But I think the most important thing going on right now for two teams in CONCACAF is the World Cup playoffs. There are two CONCACAF nations who, through this weekend's matches, can qualify for this summer's World Cup. So Jamaica and Suriname both have different paths to get a spot into the World Cup. Jamaica will first face New Caledonia, with the winner facing the DR Congo in Guadalajara for a spot in the World Cup. In the other matchup, Suriname is taking on Bolivia in the first match, and the winner of that match taking on Iraq in Monterrey. Both these matches taking place in Mexico. That could be good for them, or it's probably good for them based on how things are going around here these days. But Donald, I do want to talk about this. So the games are taking place on March 26th and March 31st. So there is a sizable gap between the games for the teams to recover. A lot at stake. It's a spot in the World Cup. You win two matches for either of these teams, and you're in the ball game. Donald, do you feel good about the chances for either of these teams?
I do. I think let's start with Jamaica. I think they have obviously a terrific chance to get past New Caledonia. It's not going to be, a cakewalk, but Jamaica is the favored team there, and they should be. We'll talk about their jerseys. They're going to look good and on the field as well. But I think the one thing that they're going to have to overcome is sometimes they are very inconsistent in how they play together. DR Congo, who's awaiting them, is a team that plays together. That's how they got to this point. And, Jamaica is without Steve McLaren. He resigned after the qualifiers, and they have a new coach in place for this window. So it's going to be...
Rudolph Spade took over.
Rudolph Spade, coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play under him, if there's any changes to that. But DR Congo is a very sound team. That's going to be a very difficult match. But as you mentioned, they're used to playing in places like Guadalajara. Jamaica might, be able to have advantage there. For Suriname, it might be a little bit more heavy lifting. Sure, they get Bolivia. I think Bolivia is a decent team, but I think Suriname, in many ways, can match up to them. Iraq is the team that will await the winner there in Monterrey. I think, and this is not to throw any political stuff in here, Iraq's been going through some stuff, namely trying to figure out how to get their team to Mexico. That has been a major issue over the past couple of weeks. They have been trying to get visas. They've been trying to get guys out of Iraq, out of the UAE. Obviously, because of the military conflict going on over there, the airspace is closed. So that has been a way they tried to postpone their match till a week before the World Cup. FIFA said no. So there's a lot going on with that. The question will be, and it's not a bad thing, but is Iraq kind of are they distracted by everything that's going on? It would be natural for that to be the case. Will they be able to lock it in and face whoever? If you catch them flat-footed, Suriname could get them, but it's still an uphill climb for Suriname more so than Jamaica, I think.
Yeah. The interesting thing for Jamaica is so they named their squad for the matches, and 12 players from the squad from November that failed to qualify directly. 12 players were left out, including strikers Shamar Nicholson, Dewan Richards, Kaheen Dixon. Some big names were left out of the squad. And I found this article from the Jamaica Observer who talked to Rudolph Spade, and he had some quotes about how the professionalism might not have been there. Didn't reference specific players, but he said, "quote I'm not a person who is going to hide what players do. If you do something, you must own up to it. When you're looking at certain players, we know they have a history of breaking curfew. They have a history of not sleeping in the hotel that was provided for them. They have a history of bringing their family to work. They have a history of behavioral issues. So you made the criteria, but you're struggling now with the conditions. So somebody else that is not struggling with the conditions, they get the edge. And that's simply what happened. So they've also got three brand new English born players. There's been a lot of talk about like getting players who have were eligible for Jamaica, but not necessarily from Jamaica. Um, some three English-born players: Efron Mason Clark from Coventry City, Andre Brooks from Sheffield United, and Tottenham prospect Tyrese Hall, all in the squad and looking to make their debuts in massive games. I mean, it's not necessarily Concacaf Nations League, but it is a World Cup qualifier. It's a playoff to get into the World Cup. So really interested to see how Jamaica, with an interim coach, turned over roster, and really not much wiggle room, how they respond to the situation.
And for those guys, those new call-ups, it's an opportunity. I'm sure, a month ago they didn't think they had a shot at the World Cup, and now they do, right? Because if they're one of the players that can get them qualified for the World Cup through this playoff, it's going to be hard for Spade to send them home and say thanks for your service, right? Like that's the idea is they get one opportunity here to show that not only can they get Jamaica over the hump and back into the World Cup for the first time since what 98, but also in the process prove, hey, in a World Cup match in a pivotal matchup, you want me on the field, you want me on the roster. So it's an interesting time for their team because if they don't qualify, I wonder what that means in the form of like the player pool. How drastically does it change because they were so close? We've seen a lot of teams kind of go, hey, we just missed out, but it's okay. And we've seen some, like namely the United States, when they don't qualify, they blow it up and start over. So it'll be interesting to see what Jamaica does if they don't qualify, but I'm really hoping they do.
Yeah. No, we're definitely pulling. We're Team CONCACAF here. So we're pulling for Jamaica. We're pulling for Suriname. Would be massive for both of those countries and massive for CONCACAF to get 8 teams into the tournament that we're hosting. Like there should be an advantage to hosting. So it could
I
be a good summer for CONCACAF.
I will say this for the record, and I'm sure you and Jonathan will agree. The World Cup needs Ronnie Brunswick. Period.
Listen, there are a lot of countries around the world that play football. They're going to learn soccer.
They're gonna learn Brunswick ball,
They're
Brunny
going to
ball.
learn. They're going to get CONCACAF. Just you wait. So those are two teams trying to get into the World Cup. There are 6 teams who are in the World Cup, and they are getting ready for this summer. So there's a lot of tune-up games going on this window, notably for the U.S. They'll be taking on Belgium and Portugal in Atlanta. Curacao they're heading to Australia to take on China and Australia and friendlies there. Canada is hosting Iceland and Tunisia in Toronto, and Haiti also going to Toronto, also to play Tunisia and Iceland. So good for Haiti who can't necessarily host games, finding two good games in a World Cup stadium. Um, that's a great opportunity for them. Mexico will be hosting, like the U.S., Portugal in Mexico City, and then they go to Chicago to play Belgium because, of course, Mexico is playing a game in the U.S. You know,
Well, I will say this: the game against Portugal is the first in the renovated Estadio
yes,
Azteca. So
yes,
there, I know they've been looking forward to that.
Estadio Banorte. You got it. They
I
paid a
said
lot of
Azteca and I meant it.
they paid a lot of money for you to say Banorte.
And you know what? During the World Cup is going to be Estadio Azteca.
Estadio Ciudad de Mexico.
Yeah, no, those
Um,
it's Estadio Azteca. Azteca is not corporate, so they allow that one. But yeah, it's not going to be FIFA World Cup Stadium, Monterrey.
yeah. Well, I think is it just Azteca and BC Place that are getting to keep their names?
Correct.
Yeah. Everything's so
Yeah,
corporate these days, you know? People just do things because they get paid, you know? The Wayne's World girl
at
sitting on
at,
the
at
printing all the Reebok
Concacaf.
shit. Yes, at podcast. Yes. And finally wrapping it up, Panama. We talk about Curacao going all the way to Australia. Panama's going to South Africa to play South Africa and South Africa. So I got two matches down there. Good tests, you know,
Hmm.
but a lot of teams in Concacaf just trying to get good good matchups, getting ready for the summer.
I like it. I
Yeah,
like a lot of these, and I like Curacao going on the road. I like Haiti going to Toronto. I mean, it's not necessarily. I mean, with the West Indian population there, that's going to be a good crowd for those games with Canada and Haiti against Iceland and Tunisia. Panama playing South Africa, I think that's smart. Preparing for their group, and yeah, I think the United States and Mexico did well in drawing two top 10 teams in
mm-hmm.
Belgium and Portugal.
Yeah. Now, do you put a lot of weight into what the results are this weekend, or is it more about like seeing the team together?
That's a great question. I think you have to get results because results help with the momentum and the buildup of anticipation. The last thing, especially in the case of the United States, Canada, and Mexico, especially, right? The last thing you want is your team to get ran by, even if you're playing, again, really good teams, you don't want your team to get ran off the field because you want to show a front of, hey, we have been building for this, we are ready for the moment, and these players are going to perform well against any team. And so it's not necessarily that even a loss, a tight loss, okay, sure. You can learn from that. A draw would be just as good, but you do need some good results, some positivity to come out of this camp, out of this window for all, especially those three teams because they're the co-hosts.
Yeah. Now, as we mentioned, Curacao going to Australia, we kind of buried the lead there a little bit because Curacao, these games against Australia is actually part of the FIFA series. So if you don't know what the FIFA series is, it's a relatively new thing that FIFA installed, just trying to get organized games for countries that need to organize games. Um, like I think it was back in 2024 is when this got established. But there's 8 CONCACAF nations who are participating in this window, and essentially it's just centralized matches for teams from various confederations to play different teams. So starting off, Curacao, they're getting to go to Australia to play China and Australia. Those games taking place this weekend. We're also seeing St. Lucia go to Azerbaijan to take on Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, because Oman withdrew, St. Lucia's only getting one game, but they're getting one game in Azerbaijan. In Indonesia, St. Kitts and Nevis, they're taking on Indonesia there in Jakarta. and then they would play either the winner or the loser, depending on their result. They'll play one of the Solomon Islands or Bulgaria. Now, moving on to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is actually hosting matches in Bayamon. They're taking on Guam, while U.S. Virgin Islands is taking on American Samoa, with the winners and losers playing the next match against each other. Great opportunity for countries of that size to get matched up with competition. The U.S. Virgin Islands, obviously, you don't get a lot of minnows outside of what is already in Concacaf. So getting a chance to play American Samoa and Guam, excellent.
That's the territorial derby right there.
It really is. Like,
Yeah,
yes, this is all
USVI,
U.S.
American
territory.
Samoa, Puerto Rico, Guam. That
Why aren't we doing
that's
this
all
all the time?
territories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just do this every couple of years. Um, moving on, interesting one. Rwanda is hosting matches, and Grenada is heading to Rwanda. They're taking on Rwanda in the first match, with the winner and loser taking on the winner and loser of Kenya and Estonia. And then moving on finally to Uzbekistan, Trinidad and Tobago. They get to take on Venezuela in the first match, and then they'll be taking on Gabon in their second match. So you're getting a lot of CONCACAF nations getting competition against non-CONCACAF teams, which a lot of them desperately need.
And there's one more that you skipped over, which is Rwanda B. There's a second series in Rwanda. Aruba is taking on Macau in that, and then they take on the winner loser of Tanzania and Liechtenstein. So, yeah, I
Thanks
think
for catching that.
yeah, no problem. I think the one thing about all these is you see some of these teams and they're quite random, but I mean, this is not a show that we're like to give FIFA props often, but I do like how they've kind of split some of these up and kind of given us some looks where you kind of go, huh, that might be interesting. I think they're all on FIFA Plus, the app, which is free. So, you'll be able to stream all these games and not just like Australia or something like that, where you could probably find that on TV somewhere on the internet. But yeah, I like some of these and I like the fact that this takes place and maybe the tournament setting I think is cool, but guaranteeing teams multiple games in a window is what they need to kind of make sure that they're continuing to develop their players.
Yeah, and especially at this point in the cycle, just
Hmm.
because last window before the World Cup, if you're not in the World Cup, like what you're basically waiting for the World Cup to be over to start the next cycle. So yeah, like installing something like this where you know you almost want to like see some like the like a toilet bowl of like some of, not to be dismissive of them, but like some of the lower end teams playing games of consequence in the lead up to the next cycle starting, because those lower end teams in the rankings are going to be starting qualifying sooner than the rest of us.
I also like the fact that it's a wide range, right? You go from Macau, right, all the way. I mean, Macau is towards the bottom of the rankings, but then you have Trinidad and Tobago taking on Venezuela and Gabon, which are two solid teams. So that's a good test. Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. That again, kind of a little bit of a derby there, seeing
Mm-hmm.
how literally a stone's throw from each other
Yeah.
across the water there. But I like that some of these teams are having some difficult matchups. Saint Lucia against Azerbaijan, probably equally ranked. Grenada, Rwanda, again, probably a step up in test for there. And I think St. Kitts going to Indonesia, again, getting different looks is what these teams need.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they're getting some of that. And maybe as they go along, they have somebody at FIFA who's in charge of setting some of this stuff up to make it intriguing, kind of make it where it's like, for lack of a better term, a little international nations league here, where you kind of have the
Mm.
smaller teams face each other, the middle teams face each other, and then in these off years, help them set up like a, England versus for England versus South Africa or something like that. Or let's say Netherlands versus South Africa. Again, put some skin in the game, make it where there's some kind of connection to it. But yeah, I really like how these are set up, and some of these matchups are definitely ones I'm gonna fire up FIFA Plus to watch.
Yeah. I mean, say you're St. Kitts and Nevis and you're bringing some young talent there, and someone in Indonesia watching those games sees a player is like, oh, there's some talent there. they get signed, and they're playing pro ball in Indonesia. Like that's how
Hmm.
you grow opportunities as you get these guys visibility. Um, I think I think the most important thing for me is the fact that we're finally getting, like we discussed, the U.S. territory like
Hmm.
tournament going here. Like this should be the first of many. Let's do this on the rig. Um, cool. So a lot of good stuff there. So we talk about the games, a lot going on. We got to talk about the kids. So
Oh yeah.
World Cup here, the biggest, most anticipated thing beyond the games is the shirts. And we had this month pretty much everybody dropping their new, like Adidas and Nike basically dropped everything they were holding back from us on all these World Cup kits. Let's go through the main Concacaf teams that have dropped new gear. Start with the U.S. as we should, and the big story here is everyone's been begging for Waldo's, and we got something Waldo-ish.
Yeah, we got this. We got the hoops. It's the undulating, waving flag design. They're calling it the stripes jersey, and it's again bringing back the feel that everyone had of the Waldos. I love them. I think they're fantastic. I think they did a great job with them. I think, and as we'll kind of talk about a little bit more in one more round, the players had input on these jerseys, and they basically said, "We want something that screams USA, so that when we look in the stands, we know where all the American fans are at this World Cup." And this jersey is terrific. But you also have the muted stars jersey, the away jersey, which hopefully satisfies the crowd that doesn't like the outlandishly bold design. That was a more muted one with some sublimated stars that you can't really see from afar, but as you get up close, you know, oh, those are stars. That's an American jersey. I think that's the idea here, is that they kind of have a stars and stripes theme going here. One a little bit more bold out there, and one a little bit more reserved, but still tying into the same theme.
Yeah. The main issue I have with them is I'm not a huge fan of the number font. I think it's a little
Oh
too
yeah, they've done their own just bespoke font. Yeah, it's I
it's
think it'll grow on me, but it's okay for now.
it's a little too sleek for how complicated the design is of the
Hmm.
stripes jersey. I feel like you needed a little bit bolder numbers, a little thicker, and not as the italicized. I think when you saw it going back to the Waldos, it was kind of like the stand, like a more blockish
With a block,
font
yeah.
to kind of like balance with like the pattern. That's really the only bone to pick I have. But overall, I think it's a massive win for the U.S. They did such a good job with these. I think these are the best World Cup kits they've done in at least a decade. Um, yeah, I
I would
think
say
U.S.
um, the 2017 Gold Cup jersey is probably the last men's jersey that I think they nailed.
Mhm. I mean, I think the set in 2018 that would have been for the World Cup would have been a
Hmm.
very nice looking set, but and I think they have now that they finally embrace doing the blue shorts with the white shirt. I think the U.S.
Hmm.
has had a good look the last couple of years, but I think they just kind of nailed it for this one, and
I agree.
we love to see it. Not the best time for us to be wearing patriotic looking stuff, but you know what? It's us. That's this is what
It's
we
what we do.
this is
That's
what
what
we
we do.
do. It's what we got. All right, moving on to our neighbors to the south, Mexico. Mexico. The interesting with Mexico is that their kits had leaked like last year, and everyone was very skeptical of it. And it seems from all accounts, they basically scrapped what they had lined up and went back to the drawing board and came out with some solid looking shirts.
So I hate to give it to them, but I really like their home jersey. It has the
Hmm.
Aztec kind of theme to it. It kind of reminds you of an older jersey that they had. It, with the new crest, it actually looks great in the green. I think they should always be in green, white, and red. That's the L
Yeah,
tree,
they are L tree.
the arrow tree. So I really like that. The or I'm sorry, the away jersey that's white, don't like it. They tried to sell that as something that's like, oh, bold and passionate, and it represents our feel. No, it doesn't. It's a white shirt. Now, I'm just seeing the leak of the third jersey for the first time. I hadn't heard, we've seen them online in a couple places, but I thought there was going to be like a lifestyle kit or maybe like some flashback to the black kind of series that they did in the like late 2010s. But I like that one too. If that was the away, I think that'd be fine. But again, I think the home jersey is what really nailed it for him.
Yeah. There are two things I don't like about the home jersey. One, it's at the center of the Aztec design on the front of the shirt has the eagle from their crest in it.
Hmm.
And I think it just looks odd to have the crest, like the logo, twice.
Well,
And
it'll be covered by the number, I think, right? In theory.
in theory, but you could also just not do that, and it would not be as noticeable. I also don't like the Adidas wide stripes that they are doing on the current templates.
Mm.
Um, Adidas is doing a mix of the jerseys with like the three stripes and the wide stripes on the shoulders, and then the trefoil logo on the chest with the thinner classic stripes. I think the trefoil thinner stripes just looks so much more classier. Mexico going to the white kit, bold strategy. I don't know how those are going to hold up when the pea stains get on them. Um, but the black kit, I mean, Mexico just they think that they can wear black when they are El Tri. Just wear your green, white, and red and be done with it. You know,
Hmm.
that's just me. But speaking of countries wearing black, that doesn't really make sense for. Um, speaking of neighbors,
Going
we'll
north?
go. We're going north to Canada. Canada, after all the hubbub of last World Cup, finally making the World Cup, and then wearing Nike team wear jerseys. Nike actually went ahead and designed stuff for them. And while simple, I think overall a pretty solid win. The home kit, a simple red with black detailing and the silhouette maple leaf design on the front. An away kit that's black with, I guess, an ice design, like a black ice design. Fine. And then a third kit that's a white version of the home red that I guess they have to use as a change kit, having a red and a black jersey. But overall, a nice looking set for Canada. I just don't know why Canada. Canada does this a lot for hockey too. They wear a lot of black.
A lot
It's
of
like
black.
your colors are red and white. It's fine. You can be red and white. You're not cool. Just wear red. Just wear red. It's fine.
So I think the red one's fine, right? It's a design that I feel like we've seen designed by fans before in Canada. So I wasn't too mad at it. And again, it's more of a muted design. Now, the black jersey, I think they tried to do something. I will say that the internet is taking that design and not saying it's ice. They're saying it's something else. You can read between the lines as to what they may think it is. Tread lightly. Use an incognito browser when you search that. I think is fine. I don't like them. I'm like you. I think they should be uh, wearing red and white. But having said that, the white jersey is just unimaginative to me. Like they just did a
It's
flip
fine.
of the yeah, they
Yeah.
just did a flip of the home jersey. I think if you're going to do a third, like what Mexico did, right? Mexico kind of used their black third jersey, the one that's leaked, I guess, to kind of create a different pattern. And okay, that's cool. They had an opportunity. Again, it's the World Cup. You guys got to be imaginative with some of these things. You have to think about what is going to represent your fan base, represent your country. And I think they did a fairly good job on the home. I think the other ones were misses.
Yeah. I do like that, that you look at the number font they dropped, it's like, yeah, the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
Nailed. Like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
of course, you pick a hockey team's font.
Well, they'll
Canada.
be playing two games in Vancouver, so I guess that
Yeah,
part in a way makes sense.
yeah, true. All right. So moving on, some the other Concacaf nations, Costa Rica. Can we talk about
Mm,
Costa Rica?
yes, we
Costa
can.
Rica, Adidas. You nailed the assignment. So Costa Rica's home kit, obviously they just rebranded, new crest within the last few years. Home kit, red base with a nice design throughout. Um, just the wider shoulder stripes with the three stripe Adidas logo on the chest. But it's this away kit that they really nailed. It's light blue, some pink, palm trees. It just when you're thinking Central America, you're thinking that the tropics, you're thinking that region, Costa Rica, just absolutely beautiful job with that jersey.
Yeah, I love what they did. I think they did a great job with nailing the imagination of what their jersey can be because, traditionally they are just like, hey, we're gonna have plain red, plain blue, or plain like dark blue. And I like that they took some chances with the pattern on the home jersey while still making it mostly red. You still get a little bit of a pattern with the pastel-y kind of colors in it, and you still keep true to the tradition that they have. The away jersey, I think, is great because it takes that navy blue. They say, hey, let's make it a lighter blue because, in the World Cup we need something lighter, but let's really go out with it. Let's really take it for a spin. And I think they did with the pattern, lumping in the like purple and the pink, the light colors. It looks like Easter, kind of jersey. But I really like what they did with these. They did a great job with them. And I think honestly the away jersey is the winner for me of the two.
Yeah. Speaking of winners, we got to talk about Curacao.
Uh-huh.
So Curacao, they're keeping, they've always been a blue base team. Obviously a newer nation, newer to the scene, first World Cup, looking to make a splash. I don't even want to talk about home jerseys or anything like that. The Curacao away kit might be one of the best of the bunch. So they really took some inspiration Adidas did with, the aesthetics of Curacao and like the ABC Islands. They've got kind of a light yellow shirt with some dark turquoise accents, the Adidas trefoil logo, but the three stripes on the shoulder are pink, like turquoise and orange, as you'd see a lot of that in the region. And it just pops. Like they are going to come out and look world class at the World Cup.
I agree. And we still haven't seen what they're going to do with the home jersey yet. Their home jersey is traditionally blue. If you look on their website, they still have the blue jersey. It's kind of the team wear Adidas jersey that they wore during qualifying. They switched to Adidas during World Cup qualifying, if I remember correctly. So
Mm-hmm.
they kind of got those team issue ones of blue and white. But this is a home run for them in reestablishing something that says, "Hey, we're here to be creative, but we're also here to be competitive, not just with the looks, but on the field." And this is, yeah, if I'm from Curacao, I'm really happy with these. I'm not from Curacao. I'm ecstatic about these. This is one that if I see this on the street, might need to add that to the collection.
Yeah, for sure. So good job, Curacao. Um, another Adidas team that traditionally just brings the fire, Jamaica. Jamaica, Donald, I want to hear your opinions on these because we see it's always been, yellow and black with the dash of green. This time they brought in a lot of red. What do you think about these new kits?
So it's to honor Bob Marley, and that's why they have the red kind of introduced in there. You have the kind of the stripes that they have, the squiggly lines that are rhythmic.
Mm-hmm.
So it ties into the theme of Bob Marley. I absolutely adore these. I think this is a great tribute to him. It's one of those things where if you're gonna deviate slightly from your flag colors, you do it to do something that's institutional to your culture, right? Like for example, the Netherlands wears orange for a reason. Italy wears blue for a reason. Those are historical things. This is something cultural that ties into the island, and that is Bob Marley. Bob Marley is Jamaica in a lot of ways. And so I really like these. The only thing I think for me, I'm not a collar guy when it comes to jerseys. The home jersey has a collar on it. I still think it looks good. I just would have taken the collar off, the like tuck collar on there. But man, I really like these. I think they've worn the home jersey already, or at least I've seen it. I think they wore it in friendlies like maybe last month or something. But it looks good when guys are wearing it. I like the home, the yellow better than the black, but I think the black pops as well. This is a great look. And I'm thinking about New Caledonia. Um, they might be able to wear that home jersey against both New Caledonia and DR Congo. So we'll see if that brings them luck in the playoffs coming up.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say something a little controversial. I'm not digging the red. I get where it's coming from. I
Hmm.
get like a nice thought, but man, Jamaica's just got like such a solid look with the three colors that I think the emphasis on red on Leeds just kind of hurts them a little bit. But that's just
I will
my
say,
thought.
I will say the jersey also has to compete with what they've done since they got into Adidas, which has been
Mhm.
nothing but heat, right? Like,
Yeah, no,
so
that's the other thing.
yeah, it's one of those things where I could see people going, "This is a great jersey, not my favorite of what they've done so far." And in a way, I kind of agree that one that's like yellow with the green on the sides and the black trim, I thought was
Mhm.
fantastic. But again, I love Bob Marley. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. I, have done history on him. His link to Jamaican soccer is also something that's well documented. His link to soccer in general. If you watch the documentary Marley, it talks a lot about how soccer was a huge part of his life. It's actually how he found out he had the melanoma that killed him. Was
Mhm.
by playing soccer and hurting his foot. But I think that tie-in is great. So I'm willing to overlook the addition of the red because I know what it's for. I also get that it's not everyone's cup of tea in that
Yeah,
regard, and especially the aesthetic part of it.
and I will say, even bringing up the red on the jersey, the pre-match kit, like the training
Oh
shirt
yeah,
they
uh-huh.
dropped, it's like got a lot of red on it, like the drip
Hmm.
looking thing. That's absolute fire. I think
Hmm.
that yeah, that's better than any of the jerseys. That's just my opinion. So it's gonna be a good looking World Cup. Um, I also do want to shout out Guatemala, who recently rebranded, recently dropped uh, a new Federation badge. They've got new kits by Umbro as well. Just classy, classy as hell. The home kit, a white with the light blue sash, very classic Guatemala. And the away, it's got a two-tone sash on, your dark, is that navy? Yeah, it looks like navy, dark navy shirt with a little bit of gold accent there. Just excellent set from Guatemala that we'll be seeing this fall in Concacaf Nations League.
Yeah, I like the new crest. I think it's a cool little look, and yeah, I think that sash that they do since they've kind of started going to it and making it more pronounced, I think is cool. I like that they even have like the kind of gold. The crest has gold in it, and the gold trim on the sash itself to kind of again really mark it on both jerseys. I think is really nice. I think they don't have to do a lot with these, and so they decide not to. But in a way, just jazz up what they already have established as their identity, and I really like what they did with it.
Yeah. Um, cool. So let's just go ahead and wrap it up here. A lot to be excited about. It's the World Cup year. A lot of good matches coming up. Make sure you're following us on social media at Podcaf, PODCACAF. Um, Patreon, patreon.com/podcacaf. Go support our podcast. We appreciate it. For Donald, for Jonathan, who couldn't be here, and for me, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.